Last night, after finishing this miniature, disaster struck and I lost the head of this axe. It broke clean off. Now, this break might look insubstantial, like it's just a bit of axe, right? What's the problem? Well, this is actually a huge pain in the ass because it is made out of 3D printed resin. It's just not going to happen. 3D printed parts don't just break, they shatter. And even if you can find 2 pieces, the odds of finding the rest, slim to none. I think maybe the best thing to do is to maybe replace the hand entirely. This is going to be a tremendous pain to like drill into and pin and put wire into and then match up the head and then sculpt over it. It might just be easier to lop off that hand. But getting a matching hand, that also might be an issue. I've been sent some pretty cool stuff in my PO box, so hopefully there's something in here. So I'm kind of just going through at the moment and trying to find anything that like is vaguely the right ogre size, both left and right hands, because I might need to replace them both if they don't really match up very well. Alright, are there any good candidates here? Okay, that is a really tiny hand, but that could look really sick. These hands aren't really screaming ogre. They look far more vampiric and monstrous and scary. I do potentially like the idea of having a new sword. Potentially a solution would be to put the weapon in the other hand and then turn this into something else. That's too small. It's way too big. We have this club, which I believe came from Warp Miniatures, I think. This is a Plague Marine hand, which I don't know if I like the vibe, but potential. And like, that could be a cool pose. Born of Carax from Cromlech. That also might look too cartoony. I think this piece, I don't know what it's from. It must be from a GW Ogre kit, but this might be the most appropriate in scale, but it is going to be the hardest to work with because this is the hand that we need and it doesn't lead anywhere and it just leads to this other hand on the other side. But it does mean that we have a nice matching pair. This is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to quickly shave down these nipples real quick because they're kind of distracting me. I just didn't do an awesome job at sculpting them. I like the size, just I want them to look a bit more nipply. And just hide any bad shaping with a bit of sprue goo. Perfect. 3D print resin is kind of a nightmare. Using clippers, it will just shatter. We're going to sacrifice his hand, so I'll show you anyway. So if we could just clip off a couple of fingers. Regular styrene, this is a bit of sprue from a Games Workshop model. This will very cleanly clip through. A polyurethane resin as well, this is hand cast resin. Very similar as well. But 3D print resin, the majority of it, is very, very brittle. It's going to shatter before it cuts. So I found the best way to cut through it is actually with a file. This is the smallest file I own, which isn't ideal, but it will let us get a nice clean cut through to start working from. I think the best move is to use a plastic hand, and then we can kind of glue anything to that plastic hand. Plastic is very, very forgiving when it comes to kit bashing. When I say plastic, I mean styrene. That's what this is, and that's what Games Workshop plastics are. Let's steal a good hand. I'm just making some adjustments to the wrist so then I can get a nice silhouette when we glue the hand on. I kind of want the hand to like go up in that direction. Yeah, that looks good. That's not bad. Just going to clean things up a little with a bit of sprue goo and make sure that joint is nice and strong, and also any gaps are filled as well. So now that our hand is made out of plastic, we kind of have unlimited options. Life gets so much easier with styrene. So I think either using this axe head to like tie it in with how the model used to look would be cool, or going full different model and using this massive scythe, which I think narratively looks kind of awesome. I think we've got to do the scythe, right? This one kind of reminds me too much of a fireman axe. All right, so let's clip this off and clip this off. Sand it a little bit flat. I want to use as much of this scythe as possible, and this hand placement is not very good. So I'm actually going to just trim it off gently and hope I don't split this in half. Yep. And then try to make this section look like a knot in the wood.
I go mad.
It's kind of like that hand was never there. And now we can cut this wherever we want. So let's go here. There. So when you use plastic glue, or in this case sprue goo, which is just plastic glue with a little bit of sprue in it, it is actually melting the plastic. So the connection that you make between two plastic pieces is really, really strong. And in some cases, it's as good as if it was like injected that way to begin with.
I go mad. I go mad.
So how did this model actually break to begin with? Well, it's all because of this handle. This is a Games Workshop handle, well, at least the top of one, and I've mounted it to I'm bracing this model in case I drop it, a Jolly Lark handle. And this combination has been really, really great, but mostly just for small miniatures. Any model that's kind of substantial where it needs to clip into the second rung of this handle, just it always pops off right at the wrong moment. And well, this model did, and it broke. I think my problem is the bases that I'm typically using now aren't GW regulation bases, and their official ones straight from the factory, well, they fit much cleaner, much tighter. But I will not concede. I will not allow my life to be determined by Games Workshop. So let's modify this. Nice. Now we're cooking.